Hey Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles, visit our service department, or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on two wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears. Welcome back to the Sic Em Podcast, presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco. I'm your host, John Morris. On this week's episode, I'm handing off the mic to Baylor Athletics Justin Hoff, who recently caught up with Acrobatics and Tumbling's Bayley Humphrey. The new Baylor graduate is fresh off of a fourth straight national championship and is getting us up to speed on an incredibly busy summer and life after college.
Hello and welcome to BaylorPlus.com. Justin Hoff with you as we are joined by a special guest today, the one and only Bayley Humphrey from the Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling team. Bayley, we have a lot to get to. Been wanting to do an exclusive interview with you for quite some time. Before we get to what you're doing now, let's talk about your athletic background. Growing up, did you play any sports? What did that look like?
I did. So I did artistic gymnastics for 10 years of my life. And that is the vault, the bars, the beam, and the floor. And I did that all the way up until my senior year of high school. And that's when I decided I basically was done with that sport. That chapter was closing, but I knew I didn't want to stop being an athlete, but I didn't really know what to do. And so I was talking to a friend and she found acrobatic gymnastics. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go try it. So I watched her practice. I got to see people lift each other and do all these crazy things. And I was like, you know what? My senior year of high school, I just want to do something fun. And so I did that for a year. And then that's when I actually learned that you can do it at the collegiate level. And I was like, oh, well, this could be a fun opportunity to continue being an athlete in college. And so I reached out to Baylor and I went to their summer camps and I talked to Coach Fee. And she recruited me, and I've had the best 4 years of my life as a Baylor A&T athlete.
Pretty cool story. Okay, so let's jump into a little bit more. So in terms of strength, and you know this by looking at me, okay, it's been a while since I hit the weights, and I need a trainer like yourself to get me up to the right strength and condition. But in terms of muscle strength, is that something that came natural to you? And when did you realize maybe, hey, I'm pretty strong?
Yeah, so I knew naturally I was pretty strong, but until I got to Baylor, I'd never lifted a weight in my life. Like I did not know how to weight lift. I didn't really know how to touch a dumbbell or anything. And then I got to Baylor and they taught me, and that's when I really got to see my strength come into play, not only lifting humans, but in the weight room, which is really, really cool because I got to push myself and I got to see actually how strong I am.
Okay. And of course, Bayley is a legendary Baylor a student athlete. And there's another one out there, Rico Gathers, from several years ago. And he, much like your answer, the same, never lifted a weight until he got to Baylor.
Really?
But both of you guys on the men and women's side, two of the strongest athletes we ever had here. And of course, from Chandler, Arizona. So not a Texan native, but made the transition to Baylor and being a Texan for a few years there. So in terms of weights, got to ask some of the top numbers. So squats, bench presses, your maxes, where are they lining up? And I'm not going to tell the viewers unless where mine line up.
So for back squat, my max is 405, and then my bench press is 235.
235. Very impressive. Very impressive. So great strength. And hey, you're doing, not that you're doing, maxes, but just practice day after day. And by the way, these practices you guys have, I've been at a couple throughout the years, but they're long practices. And so, I mean, that's a weight session in and of itself, especially with what you do as a base.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we practiced a lot at Baylor, and we actually would have our 3-hour practice, but then we would have an hour and 15 weight session after. And so those practices were really long. And, but that's what made us strong is yes, we practice, but the weight room is what transferred over into practice. And that's why the weight sessions after practice were so crucial, because that is what built up our strength to be able to lift up the humans in practice.
Yeah, and that's part of it, right? Just any job, a lot of it is showing up, and certainly you can say the same about weight room. Just showing up and going in there. So, okay, so you talked about how you got to Baylor, your prior experience. You get to Baylor, and what's it like when you get here? Do you instantly start, and are you the star, the success that we see? This past season, last couple seasons, right away.
Oh gosh, no, I came in as a freshman, kind of just like have no idea what's going on. I'm just going to trust the process. It was also during COVID, so that was an experience in itself. So my freshman year was definitely an interesting one, but honestly, I was just so grateful to be there, and I was just so excited to learn a sport I've never done before and to just learn, what life is like as a collegiate athlete.
Okay, and it wouldn't take long, though. Eventually, you become the star that we know you as, and one of the keys, though, is your teammate, your other side. And so Jordan Grundler, I guess, how did this start? She's a top, you're a base. How do you get teamed up with her?
Yeah, so her and we'd never talked before we got to Baylor, but we had seen each other at one competition, and when we both did acrobatic gymnastics. And so when I heard she was coming into the Baylor team, I was actually really excited because I knew she came from the same background I did. And so one day, Coach Fee was like, "Hey, I want to put you guys together. Can you just come up with some acrobatic gymnastics thingies and we'll kind of just, see what happens?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So Jordan and I were talking, again, we've never really spoken to each other. And I was like, "Hey, what do you like wanting to try?" She's like, "Let's try a one arm." And I was like, "Okay, I have never done that before in my life, but let's just try it." And then look what happened.
Yeah, really a match made in heaven. And so we're going to talk about tag team combinations and things like that later in the podcast here, but definitely a dynamic duo. And so you two together, I know, have just become so popular throughout the country. And so, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, so you start there, but as each year has went on, you guys started the difficulty level rose. And even this past year, you were throwing her up in the air and catching her. I mean, it was kind of scary to watch, but
it was scary to do.
Yeah. So you guys do all that, but the thing that people don't know is you have to practice those things. And so I'm sure it doesn't go 100% at practice.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. So especially when you're first learning the skill, the boomerang, the back tuck, I throw her, she does back tuck, I re-catch her. So that was a long process to learn because we had to learn it in the belt first, for safety purposes. And then you take it out of the belt, with mats and a bunch of spotters. And then when you get more consistent with that, you go down to like one spotter or two spotters. But there were many days at practice where it was not working. But, again, it's perseverance, it's determination. Her and I are very stubborn with skills, and we're like, we're going to do it no matter what. And so that's also part of our chemistry is, we push each other. And so we're like, we're going to get this, we want to push the sport even more, and so, yeah, that skill, it was a fun one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen something like that, and I'm not sure if I'll see it again. But yeah, it was pretty impressive to watch. And I'm sure as for you guys practicing that must have been pretty ridiculous. Now, you didn't do that at the Nationals, right? So just at what part of the season did you guys say, okay, we've had our fun, we tried this out, let's tone it down a little bit?
Yeah. So I would say the beginning of the year is when like we throw out the bigger skills, right? Because we're still in the beginning of the season. We're kind of just again pushing the sport, kind of showing our dynamic. But then when we start heading into the Nationals route, that's when we need to start tuning up and cleaning up and really thinking about what's the risk versus the reward. And so I would say toward the middle end of season is when we start, Coach Fee starts, strategizing. Okay, let's go down to the details here because this is where things are critical and, Nationals.
So your strength plus Jordan's flexibility, incredible pairing. And of course, you guys a part of those national championships, many-time All-Americans. You win all those national championships and you do it with Coach Fee. What was that experience like, just winning every single year and kind of being that team that everyone despises and wants to lose, but you guys keep getting the W's?
And it's all because of our team culture. Every year, like, it's a different team, right? It's not the same people that it was the year before. But Coach Fee does such a good job of building, and even, the girls, of just building an amazing culture to where, like, at the end of the day, like, we have become so close that the trophy, doesn't matter. Because we're just so, in the moment and care about each other and know it's our last go around together. And I would say that's what, getting the W every year, like, it's a feeling I can't describe, and it is a feeling I will chase for the rest of my life.
So after that 4th national championship there in West Virginia, you lifted up Coach Fee.
Yep.
What was that like? Was she open to doing this? Was this scary as well? What was that experience?
So it was actually funny because at practice one day, I was thinking, I was like, dude, I want to lift Coach Fee in the air. Like, I don't know I don't know how I'm gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out. I was like, I'm a senior this year. Maybe she'll do it. So I was talking to her and I was like, hey, if we win again, can I lift you in the air? Can I do a one man with you, please? Like, if we win. She was like, okay, I'll let you do it. And sure enough, we won, and she got the trophy and I got to lift her in the air. And that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and once again, scary if you're.
Yes, I was like, you can't drop Coach Fee. You cannot drop Coach Fee. You can't drop. I was like nervous, but I was really excited.
But she is healthy and doing well.
Yeah,
she got
hey,
down.
you guys see her on the floor next year.
Yeah, I've told her that some of these viral videos, if she did it once, that would be unique. But I gotta ask you about this too, and not everyone got to see this, but life after the meets, you are. And you certainly were a Baylor celebrity. I mean, pictures, autographs, flexing contest, you're lifting fans up. What was that like for you? I mean, literally the meet's over and everybody in the facility is going towards Bayley Humphrey.
It honestly kind of gets me emotional because, those little girls, like, those are what makes the hard practice days and, the days that are like, I don't know if I could, make it worth it, because they come up to me, or even, some of my teammates, and they go, I want to do this sport. Or some of them come up to me and be like, you have inspired me, that, strength as a woman is beautiful and it should be celebrated and it should be uplifted. And like that, like those moments really get me, because it's like, that's what my platform is. I feel like is to show these little girls that they can do anything. They can go do this sport and completely change it. And, whatever, like they can do anything. And, to have muscle is beautiful. So.
Well, I have a list of career options for you, and we're about to get to that. And it's deep. Okay, and there's a lot that you could do, but let's stay focused here. Let's continue on. So we did a 3-part series, an original film on Baylor Plus called Dynasty. And this program really is a dynasty, but led by Coach Fee. What'd you think of that film? And I think a lot of people got to see Coach Fee in a different light and saw her really as just a special team leader and a culture former, if you will.
Yes, I was so excited to hear that actually was becoming like a thing on Baylor Plus, and that they're, building this series, because people who have never even heard of acrobatics and tumbling, or like the NCATA, they got to see a background of like what our sport is and kind of how we, build throughout the year to the national championship and the journey of the national championship. And they got to see Coach Fee in her element. They got to see her like, as a coach, as they don't get to see very often. I feel like they got to see details of like how she coaches us and how she builds that amazing team culture.
Hey, Baylor fans, this is your call to gear up with Harley-Davidson of Waco. Whether you're hitting the open road or tailgating at McLean Stadium, we've got the ride to match your Bear pride. Check out our wide selection of new and pre-owned motorcycles, visit our service department, or shop all the latest gear and accessories to show off your Baylor spirit and Harley pride. Visit us today and find your freedom on 2 wheels. Harley-Davidson of Waco, where Baylor fans never ride alone. Visit in-store or at hdwaco.com. Sic Em Bears.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and there's a lot of bloopers out there that I will never see the day, or maybe one day Bayley will see those 5 years from now, but we'll see. Gotta say, though, so your videos on social media, and Peyton Washington's there as well, and really the whole team, I mean, everybody, the things that you guys do, people are in awe of, and it's not something that, we see every day. You see in some of these ball sports, you see the basket go in the hoop, and it's kind of about the same, but the stuff that you guys are doing is unique. And your videos have garnered millions, and I mean millions. And we've had a rich history of sports and athletes here at Baylor. RG3, Brittany Griner, and your videos have topped theirs. I mean, it's just that
I didn't
simple.
know that.
Oh yeah. What's it been like to get all that attention? I mean, because some good, some bad, but just getting the attention and people seeing what you guys do as a sport. I mean, that's got to be pretty incredible.
I can't even put it into words because look, people are seeing what acrobatics and tumbling is, and people are seeing all these strong women who work super duper hard, and they're finally getting like recognition, for this amazing sport that all these, for women by women. It's been incredible. I can't even put it into words. It makes me emotional.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that because I like you and I've seen you, but literally your guys' videos are the tops of all the videos we've done at Baylor Athletics. So pretty incredible to see that rise, and just to see, I mean, you got a great personality, and now we're about to enter into the main course of this interview, kind of life now and into the future. And I'm really excited about this part. You've done great things here at Baylor, but I think even better things and bigger things are out there for you. And so let's jump into it. You're a college graduate now. Pretty cool. And I know you've been a little bit busy recently.
Yeah.
But you kind of set the stage here, and I'll kind of jump back.
Sounds good. Yes, I have had an amazing, busy filled summer. So I will definitely talk about that. So first off, I just want to say I'm so grateful for all these opportunities I have ahead and that I'm about to share with you guys. So at the beginning of June, so kind of before nationals, like a little bit before, an Olympic recruiter for women's rugby, reached out and was like, hey, we've seen your videos, like, can you come to a camp and, just try out for the team, and just we want to get to know you and see what you're capable of. And I was like, okay, why not? So beginning of June, I flew to San Diego at the Olympic Training Center, and I got to do, I think it was a 3-day tryout with the U.S. Women's Olympic Rugby team. And it's kind of where they bring in crossover athletes. So people who didn't necessarily do rugby, but, are college athletes, and they see kind of what they're capable of and if they have the potential to play rugby. And it was amazing. It was super duper hard for sure. Like my athleticism and, mental toughness, were tested, and it was tough, but it was amazing. I got to, learn like the basics of rugby, which I had never learned before, a whole different sport, right? And then they kind of got to test my speed. So I got a lot of speed tests done, cardio, and then a lot of strength tests done. And then I got to tackle, which I never actually got to like tackle, things. So that was really, really fun. I tackled, hard, and I actually dislocated my finger at the camp. So I was like, hey, I feel like a rugby player right now. So it was really, really fun. And then I flew home after that. And then I flew to Orlando, Florida on a WWE trip. So it was kind of like rugby. I got to go in there. I got to get in the ring. I got to, learn the basics of WWE, as well as get to meet amazing people. And I got to watch an NXT show, which was amazing to see that in person, to translate what they do, to see it in person. So that was amazing. And then I've also been kind of in between that. I've been interning with Waco Police Department with my boss, her name's Ashley Roy. She is amazing. So that has been, really cool to apply what I've learned at Baylor to real life. I've gotten to go to crime scenes, and I've got to, she's built my confidence so much with that. And it's been amazing. It's been an amazing summer.
Okay, I'm excited here. And so there's a lot of crossover, and this is about you, not me. But I almost went into forensic science as well, so I can relate to some of the things that you experienced. Obviously, you actually have the major and did some things. But I went to some camps and things like that, very similar to what you're talking about, which I think has a great opportunity for you down the road. You are in your peak, physical condition right now. And so there's a couple opportunities. You mentioned the rugby one, which is very interesting. I don't know a lot about rugby. I do know the ball's a lot different than football, right? It's a weirdly shaped ball. Mm-hmm. And do we have any videos of you tackling? Because that would be.
Oh, I'll have to. I don't think I do.
Should have brought me out there. And by the way, if you think you're busy this summer, Bailey's twice as busy. That's what I picked up on what you just said there. So, okay, so you do the rugby thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you mentioned, the WWE piece. And so, as a kid, I got a few years on you. I'm 36. As a kid in the 90s and right around the early 2000s, huge into wrestling, big time. Like my favorite sport as a kid watching. Went to events, all that kind of stuff. So, there just is a lot of things that I see from you that could translate to that sport. I mean, it really is a sport. The one piece is it was once named something different, but now it's World Wrestling Entertainment. Yep. And that last piece right there, when I think of Bayley Humphrey, entertainment. And so personality, you got a really good personality. You could be the hero or the villain. I could see you on either side. You have that background in forensic science and things like that, which could be utilized in WWE. There's a couple individuals, Undertaker, Kane, a couple of them that had that background, right? I'd make sure you tell them that because that's
I got you.
And then, I think there's just, you're a lot more than just strength. And we saw a little bit of that afterwards, but backflips and tumbling and jumping off the ropes and things like that. I think the ability to not only be strong, but also athletic and, dare I say, acrobatic.
Right.
Combining those two, there's not many that are like you. So I think you have a really big advantage if you did the WWE route. I'm pushing you a little bit there to Florida. But what do you think?
Yeah. And again, like with both, that's what I really thought was really cool with, traveling to both, the rugby camp and WWE, was seeing my background of acrobatic gymnastics translate in a different way, but I still got to see myself like, okay, like this is where my strength would be applied, or this is something I would have to work on more because I had never done it before. And so that's what I thought was really cool, is like, I could see myself kind of in like their own different way, just because like they're both completely different, but it made me really excited to see like where I could apply myself.
Yeah, I think there's something there in WWE. I really do. The more I was around you, and I'm going to give you a couple more pointers here. We're not done yet, but I love the fact too that you're just saying yes. I think all too often, just people, especially, student athletes or just young people say no. And so you're saying yes to the fact of, let's try out rugby. Let's try out the WWE. Let's diversify my opportunities, if you will. And you're doing that with what you're doing with the Waco PD. And so I just think that is something that needs to be, praised. And I wanted to make mention of that. And so, yes, on the WWE side, there's all kinds of opportunities. One, you're big on social media already, and that's a part of it, being an influencer and the videos that are out there. And so I think there's some connection there where people can kind of connect. I think some of the WWE superstars, some of them, they come into it and they're not really as well known. And so I think there's an advantage there. There's a few former acro, actually one of ours, right? Lexi Amrine, who's now AK Danny Palmer in the NXT.
Yep.
And there's a former Oregon acro that's also, and she's doing really, really well.
Yes.
But you have an advantage on both of them because you're more well known. And so you have a following already. And so that can go into the WWE. And I just think there's a former wrestler, and you're going to want to store this one away when you talk to the execs there at the WWE. There's a former wrestler by the name of Chyna. I don't know if they mentioned it.
Oh, yep. I know who Chyna is. Yep.
Very similar physique, 5'10", 205 pounds. I don't know, though, that she was as athletic and acrobatic as you. I mean, yeah, she could get up on the top ropes and do some things, but I just think there's moves, honestly. There's moves that WWE has never seen, particularly on the women's side, that you could do because of the things that you did with A&T.
Yep. Yeah. And, going back to what you were saying about like saying yes to all the opportunities, like that's just kind of my mindset, is like, I just want to try everything and see what works out for me, because I never thought, like, this university has given me so many opportunities I never thought I would have in my life. Honestly, like, I thought I was just going to graduate and just probably go do more school or something. But to be able to continue my athletic career and inspire many people gets me so excited. Like, I'm so excited to pursue, more athletic opportunities and to see where I end up. So.
Well, I'm excited for the journey. If you do make it to the WWE, even if you make it to rugby, I will still watch. But if you're in the WWE, I'm going to get an action figure. I'm going to go full, all about it. So just, I think I was excited with Lexi. And Lexi, as you mentioned, the WWE NXT, that's kind of like AAA minor league for the WWE.
Yes.
And they, call up. And, of course, Haley Cowan, who's in the UFC. I don't know. You ever think about the UFC?
I thought about it for a short period. I did because I actually did Muay Thai in high school for like 1 year, and it was really fun. So I was like, oh, that could be an option. But yeah, no, right now I just have these going for me.
I think the WWE is better for you, and I think it's because of the personality, and you literally have a playbook to kind of look at with the blueprint of China. You can be that next individual.
She was very strong.
Very strong. And so I just think the sport has evolved, though, on the women's side with the WWE. It's gotten a lot more attention to when she was in it, about 20 years ago or so. And so I just think there's unlimited opportunity. And we know now with women's sports and how big it is that, honestly, I could see a day where the women are carrying the show on the WWE side, and you could be maybe that person. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's possible. And so, of course, here's another piece. Shayla Hutchins, she's now an assistant coach on our team.
Yep.
She's been a champion with Team USA weightlifting. So, that's another area that you could maybe look at. But I mean, a who's who of accomplishments for individuals from the Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling team.
Yes.
And we want you to be the next one.
I will definitely try my best. I'm just so excited for all these opportunities, and I can't even put it into words. And, strong. That's Baylor A&T athletes right there. Strong women who can hopefully change the world and make an impact. And so let's go do it. Let's go do it. Let's go change the game.
Yeah. And you said that, hey, between rugby and the WWE, you can put and have your strength on display, right? God's given you incredible talents.
Yep.
And so I think it would just be great there's a lot of people who know about you, but there's still a lot of people that don't know. And so just thinking about all them and I think what you've done so far at Baylor can be great, but even rugby or WWE, there's a whole new world out there. And then one day you can then maybe some of those kind of accomplishments can kind of put you to the front of the line with forensic science, and you can go out there and kind of save the world and solve some crime.
That way. I agree. And, traveling and going to these tryouts, I got to be around, with rugby and WWE, I got to be around so many strong women, and it was just so inspiring, and it made me even more excited to continue my athleticism because it's like, yes, strong women empowerment. Let's go do it,
I'm pumped up. I really am. And so, and by the way, I think you did an NIL deal with WWE, right?
I did. Yes.
So you've already done some, so you're not a stranger to them. I know you're obviously in their book, in their system, right? And so they just got to take all these things. So you know this much. If you need pointers, if you need help, you reach out to me. There's been other people, but the China one is the first one I thought of. And I really, really, as everybody listening, I really want you to be please. So do what you can. And we're going to follow your journey. So kind of what's next these next couple of months? Do you have to get to a certain spot like, hey, I have to make a call about what my career is, or are you kind of leaving that open a little bit?
Yeah, kind of both. So right now it's still in the beginning works. I just got back from traveling from all their tryouts. So I kind of got like an inkling of what it all would look like, right? And from now on, so I'm still in contact with both. I still don't have, I still want more details. We're gonna have, meetings, and I'm gonna continue to learn more in depth about it. And I still have a tryout with the WWE to go to. So that's even more. I have to, that's more I got to do still before any decisions are made at all. I just want to know the ins and outs of everything, and just, eventually there will come a time where I will sit down and, figure it out.
Team or entrance theme song. Yeah, you can have that.
You have any ideas? Let me know.
Yeah, nicknames. Oh man, there's just so much you could do. So
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll say this. Finishing off, what a journey you've been on, and what you've helped. Just played a a part in this national championship run and keeping this dynasty going. But really, I think that this sport has grown tremendously since you entered during the COVID time. And you got incredible athletes that are still on this team. So it's not like Bayley Humphrey leaves. We miss you. But the team is going to do some incredible things. And just talk about that, I guess, we know Peyton's story. We know Jordan's still there. We know there's some strong bases that are coming. You got Coach V. I mean, this program is destined for a 10th straight national championship next year.
Yes, I am so excited. I will be sad I won't be with them, but I'm excited to watch them because incredibly talented team. And like you said, recruiting is completely different from when I was an incoming freshman coming into COVID. It is now even bigger. And, they're now recruiting from acrobatic gymnastics, which wasn't really a thing before, like Jordan and I were like, hey, acrobatic gymnastics, go look at it. And because those skills can easily transfer into A&T. And so that created an opening for a completely different sport to come into this collegiate level. And so it's going to be insane. It's going to be incredible. Like, they're going to push the sport even more. I'm so excited to see where it goes.
And we will follow your journey. So thanks so much for everything that you've done. Really excited for your future, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that's it with Bayley Humphrey. You're going to have to check her out on social media. Got a great following and all her videos and a lot of excitement. Her best days are yet to come. I'm Justin Hoff. Thanks again for joining us here on BaylorPlus.com and Sic Em Bears.
Thanks again to Justin Hoff and Bayley Humphrey, and thanks for joining us on the Sic Em Podcast, presented by Harley-Davidson of Waco, a sport and story production. If you enjoyed this conversation with Bayley Humphrey, head over to BaylorPlus.com or the official Baylor Athletics YouTube channel, where you can watch the premium video version of this podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast, leave a review, and tell your friends about us. I'm your host, John Morris, and I hope you'll join us next week on another edition of the Sic Em Podcast.